Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Minash. This is the weekend edition where we interview notable people from the world of real estate investing. Today is no exception. We have a great guest. But first, a quick chat about goal setting. In exactly 4 weeks from now, we're hosting the 2020 Goal Setting Retreat on the Mexican Riviera. The opportunity to register is going to be closing very shortly. We still have a few spots left, and in less than 60 days, 2019 will be over. Not only that, we'll be at the end of this decade. Have you achieved everything you wanted this decade? Don't let another year go by without the clarity to get your life on track. In fact, don't even let another minute go by. We have only one chance to live our lives, and when it's gone, it's gone. The 2020 Goals Retreat is being held during the first weekend in December in Mexico. Flights to Cancun are on sale at that time, and the price for the retreat includes your accommodation. The early bird pricing will come to an end on Friday this week. Don't let another year go by without having a plan and the ongoing support you need to achieve your goals. To register, send an email to victor@victorjm.com. We are back. On today's show, we have a very special guest. He's none other than Mr. George Ross. At 92 years of age, he possesses the wisdom of the ages. He's best known for his role as Executive Vice President in the Trump Organization, as a judge on the TV show The Apprentice, the author of 2 best-selling books on real estate and negotiation, and he taught at the law school at NYU for over 20 years. Before working for Donald, he worked for Saul Goldman for over 10 years, where he wrote the file on 702 deals personally. And on today's show, we're talking about opportunities in the co-working office business. Here's my conversation with George Ross. Good evening, George.
Good evening. How are you, Victor?
I'm great. How are you?
Just fine, thanks. What's up?
Well, I'm looking forward to a conversation tonight.
Great. Good. Good to be here.
So, George, in the news today, it's been the last month, actually, co-working startup WeWork has been all over the front page. And they've got...
And it will be.
And will be for a while, for sure.
Yeah.
They've got 53 locations in New York, and it's actually created a lot of dislocation in New York in particular, where they've been undercutting the market. A single wall office in Manhattan, they're charging $1,100, and a dedicated desk is only $750, and a shared desk is $500. So for Manhattan prices, that's very inexpensive. Mm-hmm. And it's created a local effect where prices have dropped in the vicinity of a WeWork office. Now, the truth is, they've been spending $2 in operations for every dollar they bring in revenue, and you factor in their expansion costs, they've been spending $3 for every dollar in revenue. And now that their world is crumbling a little bit with their new owner, SoftBank, they're going to obviously try and restore profitability. Do you see any opportunities that might exist in the office market, be it in New York or any of the other major markets where WeWork has a significant presence?
The concept, the WeWork concept has been around for a long time, except that they carried it to the nth degree.
Correct.
Or are carrying it to the nth degree. But the idea of renting space and then sharing the space with subtenants or sub-occupants or what have you is not new. It's something that's been around a long time, but not nearly in the expansion that WeWork has done it. And I think it's as far as WeWork is concerned, that it's they got a major problem. The major problem is that it's okay to expand as long as the economy is good and you have startups or new offices that want to go in there. However, on the other hand, at that point, if the economy slows down and you don't have new offices, you're going to have a lot of space that you can't rent anymore because it's all rented on a short-term basis. But the deal that WeWork has made with the landlords are 10-year deals.
Correct.
So it depends on which side you're on. In other words, the concept is good. As far as the longevity of it is concerned, I don't really know. I am very hesitant because I've seen it happen too many times before. Never this great a concept, but it's hard. You got where lawyers will work together and have law offices which have complementary. Certainly found in doctors' offices where they'll put it all together. They have one step further in what they have done. Basically, is that you have a lot more equipment or information, which is a technique which is available to you because of things they put in. So they're putting in very high class tech equipment, and also the fact that you can network or interface with others. So it's really a very high level communicating system, where you can, in theory, yeah, you can rent a desk for an hour, you can rent a desk for a month, you can rent it for a year, you can rent an office for a year. So there is a lot of flexibility. But coupled with that flexibility, just keeping track of it is, and how to make it profitable is something which to me is a monumental task, which I don't think over a long period of time can work, because it's different. You say 53 locations or wherever it is at this. It's not the same in any particular city. It's not the same in any one. The tenants that would use the spaces. You got maybe a lot of startup companies which need the space and they don't want to go through. They don't have the money for the client, so they say, "Let me do it on a temporary basis." And yeah, that's good. But putting it all together, it's a monumental task to keep it going. Now, for example, if you have, say you have one tenant or subtenant that uses that's taking a lot of the space, and you built it out, WeWork built it out, and now all of a sudden that company goes broke or whatever it is. What do you do with it now? You got to rent it out. Well, what about the delay in the renting? What if the market is not there? What if somebody doesn't need that amount of space? So the logistics of such an operation to me are mind-boggling. And I think to just keep it going and make it profitable is a monumental task. It could be profitable in one area, in one city, in one building. It could be profitable in other cities or other buildings. But to take the concept and make it on a national basis, covering millions of square feet of space, boy, that forget that one. I mean, when I say that, don't forget it. Good luck to them. I see it as has happened many times in variations where it's become a major problem. For example, I've seen where one particular tenant will rent an entire shopping center and then sub it out. Is
Right.
that any different than what we're talking here?
No, in many
different concept.
Yeah, in many respects, it's not. I mean, I run a WeWork business on a very small scale with 8 tenants, and I've got,
Yep.
I'm paying rent at $25 a square foot gross, and I'm renting it out probably at the equivalent of $55, $60 a square foot by chopping it up into smaller pieces. And
Right.
it's a good business. It's not an outstanding business. It's just good.
It's a good business, but I think it's very good if it's controllable.
Correct.
I think at this point you just say, well, the concept is good. We can take it anywhere, national or worldwide, and make it work in buildings in various cities that have different costs or different things. It just, it becomes so difficult to manage, and it's so hazardous. If you put, if you put a lot of money in one particular area and that area goes south, what are you going to do? How do you make up that money?
Right. I guess I'm wondering if there's an opportunity now that SoftBank is going to be in charge of the company, and they're going to be probably.
I don't think so. I think SoftBank bid for a lot more than they can chew.
I think so too.
The fact if it was a foreign country, a foreign company at that point, or if it was a United States company, you wouldn't have it happening.
Correct.
The fact is that the SoftBank at that point got their money from the sheiks or other oil money, or from all different places. And they're looking to put it somewhere that has a tremendous upside. And WeWork has a tremendous upside. It also has a tremendous downside. The tremendous downside is it's a monster to keep going and to run it. I mean, why are they paying the guy so much to get out of it?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, the guy he's probably paying him billions or to get out of it, and they're paying him huge numbers because he had control of the stock. So with the idea was good. Hey, if you control the stock and somebody thinks it's good, you make a fortune. This is what happens with many of the startup companies. They have the idea, and somebody buys it out. So you got Google that it gets involved and buys Instagram and a whole bunch of others. And whoever set up the company did really great. Now, what does it do in the future? That's the question. That's to be seen.
Right.
Because the competition is fierce, and you're not giving them anything that they can't get somewhere else, except you're making it easier. It's would say making it easier. Yeah, we're so flexible. We'll give you 500 feet. We'll give you 1,000 feet. You want international calling capability. What do you want? So it's like a supermarket for office space.
I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to go in and see if SoftBank would be willing to divest of certain assets at a price, not necessarily a pure fire sale price, but something that would be attractive to a buyer.
The answer is yes.
That's where I'm wondering if the opportunity exists.
The answer is yes. The opportunity, if in fact it is possible, is to separate out on an individual basis certain of the office space which WeWork has taken, and it requires a lot of transformation, which requires it's volatile, people going in and out, the market is changing, the city is changing, and it's a loser, and they don't want to perpetuate it as a loser. Say, well, the best thing is why don't we sell it? Great. Is this any different than selling property in a city or an area that's gone south?
No, it's no different.
No different, except it's a different product.
It's a different product, and the problem is a problem of their own making more so than a problem with the market per se.
That's correct. That's correct. And part of the problem that SoftBank will have is that it's hard to pin down the problem. All you know is, here, we've made this lease for X number of dollars. Here's the income we get. Here's we put it, and we're losing so much money. But somebody going in says, well, how do I buy it? How do I know that it's going to be good? So there's a good opportunity here for a fire sale in some areas, which could work well, but you got the same risk with the fact that it's being a fire sale.
Right.
And I think you're going to see it in a lot of areas, and it varies city by city, could vary block by block, building by building.
Yeah.
So interesting concept, but I wouldn't put a lot of money in it. I wouldn't put any money in it for me at this point. And I would hesitate for many people who have to put money. However, if in fact they are taking over a lease in a specific building for a specific space on a very attractive basis, so they're basically paying very little for it, or they're paying it on a basis where we'll pay you out of the profits that we get, and we'll run it, and we'll take it off your hands. There's a good possibility there because you don't have the basic exposure. To go in and buy it for a lot of cash doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. So maybe going in and going to the landlord, look, WeWork's in a world of hurt. Let's negotiate new lease terms. We'll take it over. We'll run it. You'll make a profit. Here are the new terms. Are you in? Yeah,
but there's nothing which says, I don't know at this point. When always take a landlord. When he makes one of these 10-year leases with WeWork, who's on the lease?
WeWork.
But what is that? What is the entity? In other words, how much is cash in the entity? How good is that tenant?
Exactly. Their recourse is very limited.
That's right. So the recourse is very limited. What are they going to do except to take back to cancel out the lease and take back the space? But what do they get? Do they have security? How do they get paid?
They just get some new furniture and a couple of beer kegs.
It's fine. That's it. But basically, what it is they now have, as far as the landlord is concerned, they have a lawsuit against somebody or some entity for the rent which is unpaid or the value of the lease or that was lost. Collecting it, and what they really have to me is questionable. I don't know. But from a landlord standpoint, if you don't have good security, why would you do it?
Yeah.
But it looks like you got good security because you got SoftBank with a pot full of money behind it.
I love it.
Interesting, but not. It's interesting from a discussion standpoint. But I would be very, very hesitant if I put any partner, because I wouldn't trust anything that whoever is running it or selling it is willing to do, because they don't know what they're doing. The information comes down from a different source, and it basically is you don't know how true it is. It could be a lot worse than what you have, but it's not accurate. It's not like you can pin your peg and say, "Good, the loss is this is the loss."
Right.
This is what it is. It's they'll say, "Yeah, this is what it looks like," but what do you do? Also, understand that if a lot of the WeWork space goes south, what happens is that the people are not going to want to go in there.
Right.
So if people don't want to go in there or don't want to pay the rents on a bill basis, saying you're not going, how do I know that I'm going to have the space? Because if somebody builds out 10,000 square feet of space and WeWork goes bankrupt or goes out of that space, what do? The landlord say, hey, fine, you got to pay or get out. And what they're going to pay is whatever the market is at the time. So it's landlords. I could see it as a problem for some landlords, but if they'd like it because the company looks very strong, looks strong on paper. But when you pierce through the shell, it's not that strong. So,
all right,
my suggestion: pass it. But I wouldn't eliminate it completely. There could be good opportunities for purchasing individual properties.
I love my conversations with George. He has this perspective that comes from being in business for over 60 years. If you have a strong negotiating team and are an expert at managing office rentals, there might be a play to acquire assets as companies in this space look to strengthen their balance sheet. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your weekend. Go make some great things happen. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.